Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to my library Google Classroom. Last time we talked, I gave you a little sneak peek of our book that I was reading that day called Those Darn Squirrels. And today I want to read it to you in its entirety. Those Darn Squirrels. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house. The only thing older than the little old house was the man who lived there. Old Man Fuquire. Old Man Fuquire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out his nose. He was also a grump. He hated pie. He hated puppies. And the only thing he liked was birds. All summer long, the old man painted pictures of the birds that visited his backyard. There were whirly birds and bonga birds, baba birds and yaba birds. Even a rare flugel bird came by once or twice. Fuquire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. When the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter, as they did every year, and that he would be very lonely. And then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Fuquire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. Wow, those are some pretty fancy bird feeders and some pretty fancy birds. But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. Not many people knew this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all woodland creatures. In fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrel spit. They also are excellent at math. Good to know. Winter was fast approaching, and the squirrels needed to gather as much food as they could to get ready. So they decided to take some of the bird food. The birds were not happy. Neither was Old Man Fuquire. When he discovered what had happened, he shook his old man fist and yelled, "Those darn squirrels!" He filled up the feeders again, but this time he hung them from a clothesline, and then he went back inside, confident the squirrels would no longer be able to get to the seeds and berries. But the squirrels were determined. They devised a plan, and this time they took all the food from the bird feeders. I see they're working as a group. Good thinking. Smart squirrels. The birds were furious. "Harumph, harumph, harumph," yelled the bonga bird. "Those darn squirrels," yelled Old Man Fuquire. "Yum," said the squirrels. "Look at their fat little bellies. Oh my goodness." Now it was Old Man Fuquire's turn to devise a plan. He went to the general store to get supplies. He bought lasers and clamps. He bought wires and springs. He bought all sorts of tools and built a veritable fortress around his bird feeders. And then he refilled them very carefully. "Na, na, 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 na," snorted the flugel bird. Check that out. That looks like an awesome STEM project. Maybe that's something you could do, is devise a really cool bird feeder that would be safe from the squirrels. We'll have to talk about that at the end of our book. The squirrels stayed up all night working out their strategy. They drank cherry cola and ate salt and vinegar chips to help them stay awake. And finally, they had it. The perfect plan. They would put on their tiny helmets and prepare to launch themselves into the air over the fence between the lasers and onto the bird feeders. Notice how they drew out a plan before they started building? Again, very smart. This first squirrel misfired and hit a tree. Oh, yeah, that's got to leave a mark. The second squirrel went too high and landed in a bucket. And the third squirrel sailed clear over the house. The birds laughed and laughed, and they each had one last delicious mouthful of seeds and berries from the old man's feeders. Then they flew south for the winter, just as they did every year. said the flukel bird. That's a rude bird, if you ask me. After the birds left, Old Man Fuquire was lonely, just as he was every year. Hurts my heart. He fixed himself some cottage cheese and pepper, his favorite snack, but he was still lonely. And when he looked out the window, the squirrels could tell he wasn't happy. "Go away," shouted Old Man. "I don't like you squirrels." The squirrels decided to hold a meeting deep inside a large tree. They decided to give the old man a present to make up for taking the seeds and berries. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are not only fuzzy little geniuses, they are also good at collecting just about anything they find on the ground. These squirrels had a vast stockpile of spectacular junk to choose from, but what would Fuquire like? Bottle caps? Popsicle sticks? Postage stamps. Finally, they had it. The perfect gift. The squirrels stacked all of their loose change on Old Man Fuquire's doorstep. There were dimes and pennies. There were nickels and quarters. There was even a few tokens from Coco's arcade. It all added up to $47.36, plus a few rounds of skee-ball. "Maybe you squirrels aren't so bad," Fuquire said when he found the coins, "but I still like birds better." This gave the squirrels another idea. They raided their junk collection again and got to work. So it sounds like they're looking at what they did and they're rethinking it and thinking about, how can I make this better? Such smart squirrels. When Old Man Fuquire woke up the next morning, he was amazed to see that the birds had returned. But wait, those things weren't birds. They were squirrels in disguise. "Great googly moogly," said Old Man Fuquire. "This will make quite a painting." And he ran outside and took down the lasers and the wires and the spring-loaded trapeze. He turned all the bird feeders into squirrel feeders. And then he painted till his brush ran out of bristles. So look at that scene he's getting to paint. Then the squirrels were so overjoyed, they had a party in Old Man Fuquire's house. I don't know. Those darn squirrels, said Fuquire, and he shook his old man's fist and he smiled. This is a funny story. I love this, and I loved how the squirrels devised a plan. They drew it out, they gave it a try, and then they refined it. Sounds like the design process to me. So anyway, if you want to send me a picture of some kind of a bird feeder that you've drawn or even made, I would love to see that. You can send it on our Google Classroom page. Thanks for visiting today, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we read our next story. Bye.